Welcome to Ink and Magic, a podcast where we read and discuss the writing craft, world building, and romance of paranormal and fantasy novels.
If you love books with bite, set in worlds of magic and mayhem, then you're in the right place. My name's Nikisha Shanae. I go by Ines.
And I'm Leslie. I write as El Penelope. And welcome to the show.
Hey, Leslie.
Hey, Inez. What's going on?
What's going on is that we are just about finished reading Psy-Changeling series, and I don't understand life. Now we're waiting for along with everybody else. We're waiting for the next book to drop.
We've caught up to real time, to real life, real time.
How have y'all been doing this?
I know, it's sad. It's sad. I mean, binging is such a great feeling. Binging an amazing series that we love it's been great. But next week we have Primal Mirror, and then we have to wait until July of 2025. What will we do in the meantime?
We're gonna take a break. That's what we're gonna do. You take Nalini away from us, and we're gonna take a break. You know what's interesting that we didn't even consider doing, and I'm not suggesting that we do. We didn't even consider her angel books.
We did not. Yeah.
They were. I will say why I didn't bring it up. They were much more thriller-y. They were much more darker. I still remember that first book.
Yeah, I mean, I read several of them. I couldn't keep up with everything she was doing, but I remember enjoying them, but they're definitely a different vibe, a different energy. And yeah, I think at this point, it's probably time to spread the love around a little bit. Which is why after our break, we've come up with a brand new, modus operandi of the podcast.
Yeah, I like that. We're fancy.
4 years of Latin, y'all.
So tell our listeners about our new modus operandi.
It is very similar to the oldest operandi, but
new operandi, same as the old operandi.
We will be doing craft episodes still with both Inez and myself. We will also be doing author chats again with some of our favorite writers who have really cool things to say about their process and for writing and marketing and the whole author life. We're also going to be doing, revisiting some of our favorite reads in the paranormal and fantasy romance genres, as well as buzzworthy books, some of the biggest names in the genre that are coming out now. And also, we are going to spotlight diverse fantasy and paranormal romance books. We're not aware of any other really long series written by an author of color or featuring primarily characters of color like Nalini Singh's. Let us know in the comments if we have missed something.
Please.
But there are plenty more books than there used to be. There were far more books than there used to be. Like when I started publishing 10 years ago, it was still much more difficult to find BIPOC voices, diverse voices in general in this genre. And now we have a lot to choose from. So we are going to be choosing them and reading them and giving our thoughts.
It's so interesting that our voices meaning diverse, and I don't just mean ethnically. I mean all the big D of the diverse. That it's our voices are not so loud because I feel like we are so accepted. Like fantasy, paranormal is a place where our voices are far more accepted than they are, in my opinion, in like a contemporary romance or something like that, because there is such an acceptance of the, I'm using air quotes, other, that these readers are so much more welcoming, in my opinion.
That is a unique perspective. I don't know that that's a common perspective because for such a long time, the traditional publishing industry is like, Black people don't read fantasy, people of color don't read fantasy. Many, many authors have been denied publishing contracts over the past decades for that reason. And I actually talked to some people like P. Clark on my podcast, My Imaginary Friends, in my author interview series, who wanted to, be writing fantasy 10, 15 years ago and were not able to get contracts. And of course, with indie publishing, you lose that gatekeeper. And so there's far more people publishing indie, and there's way more now in the traditional world as well, because that wasn't a common viewpoint. And I think the readers didn't always support these voices either. I mean, even look at Nalini Singh's books and how they were whitewashed. The covers were whitewashed, at least. She got her characters in there. So I don't know. I would love to believe that the readers are more welcoming, and especially in 2025. And I think they are more than they have been, but I still don't see the genre being
Mhm.
welcomed with open arms by the quote unquote mainstream, and mainstream just means white reader in the way that we would hope, especially in this day and age.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was not thinking of it in that way
Mm.
of white readers welcoming more diverse voices. I was thinking of it as you have a diverse character and everybody is reading them. And I guess, yeah, that would mean including white folk are reading as well. Hmm.
I mean, Black people always read, all across the board. I mean, we had to. We had to read. We wanted to find Black books, but we had to read everybody's book, and we could enjoy
Yeah,
everybody's book.
yeah,
And until recently, anecdotally and from other authors, I've heard that, if we put a Black person on the cover, white readers would be like, "I'm not
yeah,
sure this book is for me. I'm not sure I can relate to
yeah,
this character. This is so different. This is so
that
different and
is
new."
true.
So those barriers are coming down, but there's always still some up there.
Oh, this is such an interesting conversation because as you know, well, okay, now I'm gonna make an assumption. I'm gonna put it on myself. A lot of fantasy books don't have like the most popular, at least right now, don't have people on the cover. It's a lot of times object. So
Mhm.
when you open up the page and you describe this person, like you're not relying on the image that you saw on the cover. I don't know. This is an interesting conversation. Why are we just having it amongst ourselves? Okay. Anyway, that's our modus operandi, though. That's what we're going to be doing. And looking at the list that we have made, Les, is there anything that you're excited to either revisit or to buzz around about on our list?
Yeah, in terms of our list of the favorites and the buzzworthy books that we'll be checking out either for the first time or again, um, yeah, like some of my favorites I haven't read in forever.
Mhm.
Like Finnegan of the Rock by Melina Marchetta is one of them,
Mm.
and that was so foundational and inspirational
Yeah.
for me
I
for
think we read that
my
together.
first series.
I think that's one of the books that we may have buddy read.
Maybe so. I don't
I
remember. I
know
thought,
I think so, and then you went on to read the second, and I was a big crybaby about it, and we'll talk about why when we get there.
yeah, and this is in no particular order.
Mhm.
Um, and then we've talked about like starting over, not reading the whole series, but checking out J.R. Ward, Black Dagger Brotherhood again, which it's must have been when did like 15, 20
Yeah,
years
man.
since I've read those books or the first one. I
I'm
never
nervous.
went back and reread, so
I'm nervous because I have gone back and reread some books from that era, and it's the same. I remember, like, there's some movies that I wanted to show my kids that were, like, formative to me when I was growing up, and then I show it to them, and they're like, "Mother, what do you have us watching?" I still remember my son watching Rocky and looking at me like, "Why am I watching this guy assault this woman?" I was like,
Rocky's rough. I saw Rocky again recently and I was like, "Oh, wait, what? What's happening here?"
but I've had that experience going back and reading books that I loved 15 years ago and just and I'm a different person. You know that whole saying like you never step in the same river twice because the river is not the same and you are not the same. It's
Right.
the same thing. Like I'm a different person now. And I've read some books over again and I was like, "Ooh, that's not consent." So I'm
Yeah,
nervous.
reading older romance, you're gonna come up against that problem.
Yes.
So we'll see if these still hold up.
Yeah.
And some of them I reread regularly, and I'm happy to
Mhm.
reread them again for the podcast. So
Yes. I'm sure you will enjoy your millionth read of Darkness Dawns yet again.
by Diane Duvall, yes.
Mhm. I'm excited and I have a little bit of trepidation of reading Daughter of Smoke and Bone.
Oh yeah.
That is the only book on my shelf where I tell myself I've never read the 3rd book.
Me
It's a
neither.
trilogy.
It is. Yeah. I stopped at book 2 also.
And the reason was I started writing, um, at some point around reading the 1st book, and she is so good. She is so good. I remember telling myself, I got that that is the only time I've ever felt imposter not the only time, but that's a time when I can remember feeling imposter syndrome, is reading her book and then going to the page and saying, "Ooh, should I really be doing this?"
Lainey
And I was like,
Taylor
"You"
does that. Yeah.
I was like, "You cannot read her books and write at the same time," and I'm always writing, so I have not read the 3rd
Yeah, and
book.
maybe, we're both 10, 11 years in, maybe
Mhm.
coming back to it with all of these
Ooh,
books under our belts. it's possible. There's
Ooh,
a small chance that that'll be better. I don't know. I'm trying to think
I'm
positively.
nervous. I am nervous. The only one that I'm nervous about, like, oh, is this gonna make me like go and like rock in it in my writing chair? Like, what are you thinking? What are you doing with your life?
Is it gonna make me quit?
We'll see, or just feel like just like not worthy. Anyway, Lady
Yeah,
Taylor, like, be warned. She's unfairly talented.
absolutely. Yes. So that's just a hint, just a brief preview of some of the books that will be coming up in the next year,
Mhm.
because I think we've scheduled ourselves out to be
We
about that long.
we have. But we are gonna take a break, just to rest a little bit. My March is gonna be crazy. At the time that you're hearing this, my Kickstarter will have probably ended, but then I have to fulfill it, and I don't think I'm gonna leave my office for, like, a few weeks while that's
You
happening.
might not be able to walk through your office because 'cause it'll be full of books
It's
and
gonna be full of books
paraphernalia. The
and
Kickstarter is going amazingly, and,
Yes, it
everyone
is.
is so, so proud of Miss Inez Johnson.
Oh, yeah. Yes, yeah, period. I have no words for it. I just know that I'm gonna need a break after this, but then I'll be rested, I'll be recharged, and I'll be ready to come back, and talk to Leslie. Well, I'll be talking to Leslie every day, but I'll be talking to you guys and finding out what you're reading and what you're loving and sharing our love of books that have some magic in them.
Yeah, have, magic and romance. Magic and kissing, that's our
Magic.
brand.
That is our brand. That is what we do over here. So this was a short one today, just letting you guys know that what we're doing, what we're planning. Um, Make sure and check us out next week for a primal mirror. I'm so excited about that. And we want to thank you guys so, so much for joining us. Please let us know what you think. You can leave a comment on YouTube with your thoughts on this episode. And if you have recommendations on long running paranormal fantasy, urban fantasy, whatever you can think of that has diverse voices. And remember, we talk about the big D with diverse
Like,
voices.
primarily, like, not like somebody in the background is half Egyptian or something.
Oh gosh. Anyway, share this episode with a friend who loves romance. Please, if you haven't already, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify.
And we're gonna be announcing the next book on our website, inkandmagic.net. We'll also drop a little mini-sode once we have chosen the book, so stay tuned to the feed. We'll be going away for a short time, but not forever.
Yep.
And, yeah, we want you to read along with us so you can join in the conversation, and we'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.
Bye.